You want an instant reaction? How's this? USC 31, Michigan 13. It's not that USC won, it's how they did it. They did it the old fashioned way, they did it the Michigan way. I'm going to tell you how they did it coming up next on this episode of Locked On USC.
You are Locked On USC, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Fight on, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Holkin, and thank you for making Locked On USC part of the Locked On Network, your first listen every single day of the week. Whether you're watching this show on YouTube, wherever you want to download this podcast, it's going to be free. Pick your platform. You know what else? This show is always going to appreciate your support. And this episode is brought to you by Mazda. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, pulling off the unexpected is only the beginning. Stay tuned later for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. Mazda, move and be moved. All right, so we know the story. Last year, USC traveled to Ann Arbor, their first conference game in their new conference, the big conference, the Big Ten, with 18 teams. USC at Michigan. Battle of the helmets, right? Two blue bloods going against each other. Michigan got that hard-fought win. They ran for 290 yards last year against USC's defense. Well, tables are turned. USC was playing at home. They were wearing their cardinal and gold. Michigan was wearing their winged helmets, their white jerseys. Michigan came to play. But USC came to play as well. And, look, if you don't know King Miller's name or who he is a walk-on running back. Michigan knows who he is because he took care of business. Eli Sanders went out of the game early, first quarter, did not return. Coach Riley told us after the game, might be gone for the rest of the season. Second quarter, Waymon Jordan. Well, he left the game with an injury. He did not return. That left King Miller. And it left King Miller to handle the running back chores until USC got authorization at halftime to allow Brian Jackson to suit up. He was ruled out before the game. They crossed their T's, dotted their I's, called the league office, got authorization. Here comes Brian Jackson wearing number 21 out of the locker room, making his way into the game. So there is good news. USC won the game 31-13. They literally ran over and through Michigan. We'll see what happens. Like I said, Eli Sanders possibly done for the year. Waymo, USC is going to Notre Dame next week. Well, hopefully he will be available. But right now, it looks like it's going to be King Miller and Brian Jackson at running back. And that's fine. King Miller has shown he can get the job done. So last year, as I said, 290 yards for the Wolverines on the ground. Well, this time, not so many yards. In fact, if I told you that USC held Michigan's rushing offense to just 109 yards, you'd be shocked. Well, guess what? They did. And USC ran for 224 yards. They were that good. USC's offensive line, without Elijah Page, without Killian O'Connor. Let's give some props. Let's give some props to Jayonre Reed, the center, who, when he came in against Illinois, didn't have a bad game. He had a rough game. Well, he had a really, really, really good game against Michigan's defensive line, against that defensive front, against Michigan's defense that, you know what? They came in the game as one of the top rushing defenses in the country. USC said, watch this. 224 yards. And so USC, they had a 14-7 lead. And all of a sudden, King Miller scores on a 15-yard touchdown run. But that came after. USC was facing a 3rd and 26. They're deep in their own territory. Makai Lemon had he lost his composure, undisciplined play, unsportsmanlike penalty called against him. USC's facing a 3rd and 26. King Miller said, just give me the ball. He ran, 49 yards. And next thing you know, next play, 4-yard run. Next play, 15-yard touchdown. It was just like boom, boom, boom. King Miller he better have a scholarship waiting for him by the end of the week. I tweeted out during the game, it better be waiting in his locker after the game. That's how important he was. I mean, 154 yards and 15 carries. And there was still 11 minutes left in the game when those numbers were up there. So he didn't add a whole bunch more to that because, again, Brian Jackson became available, so he was thrown in the game, and he scored a touchdown. USC, like I said at the top of the show, USC did it the old-fashioned way. A little bit of a 4 yards and a cloud of dust, and they said, you know what, Michigan, watch this. This is going to be a line of scrimmage game. We're going to own the line of scrimmage. And not only did USC's offensive line own the line of scrimmage, so did their defensive line. I mentioned no Elijah Page, no Killian O'Connor, Ray Reed playing center. Well, you know what? Another new lineup on the offensive line, and they were fantastic. They did not give up a sack. Tobias Raymond, left tackle. Micah Banuelos, left guard. General Reed at center. Alani Noah, the stalwart, at right guard. Justin Tawanuu moves over to right tackle. They looked much more comfortable. And you got to start giving some credit to Coach Zach Hansen. That dude deserves all the flowers anybody wants to throw at him right now. He's got those guys playing at a really high level. I said it. Line of scrimmage. The Trojans dominated where they had to. And, their defensive front, they were fantastic. Just fantastic. Again, they controlled the line of scrimmage. They did not allow Michigan's run game to get going. Oh, by the way, it was a very physical game. So not only did USC lose 2 running backs, Michigan lost their top running back, Justice Haynes, for the game as well. They came in averaging 237, almost 238 yards. They left with 109 net yards rushing. And I think they lost, 3? Well, I know USC sacked Bryce Underwood 3 times, so you take that yardage off. But we're talking about another, 22, 23 yards. Regardless, USC, it was a thing of beauty to watch. Pardon me. I told you during the week, and I wrote about it on wearesc.com, that this was Coach Riley's most important game of his career. The recruits that were in the house. I mean, almost everybody from the 2026 class. You had the who's who of your 2027 recruiting class. So USC had to go out there and show these guys, hey, we have turned the page. This program is heading in the right direction. And they did that. So you got to feel really good for Coach Riley, for the defense, who last 2 weeks ago against Illinois looked like really bad. They looked like crap. As it turns out, they apparently, the defense was affected pretty bad by food poisoning. That's the rumor. You have to kind of go with it because how much better they looked when there wasn't any food poisoning allegedly going around at the viral rate that we're being told it was. Again, I come back to the defense was affected. Maybe the offense was too, but they didn't look to be too sick. Again, it doesn't matter. USC's defense showed up. And, they went with more of a 3 linebacker set. They only played 2 cornerbacks the entire game. Marcellus Williams, DeCarlos Nicholson. There was only one bad breakdown that led to a late score for Michigan, 64-yarder, 69-yarder. Andrew Marsh. That was someone who USC was recruiting. He's going to be a really good receiver as he just gets more experience. So glad USC caught Michigan when they did. USC's facing Notre Dame in a week. But yeah, it was a fun game to watch because USC played physical football. And, they made a couple of mistakes. One, a really bad mistake from Jaden Mav. I'll talk about that here shortly. But they owned the game. I don't want to say that they were never threatened, but every time they were threatened, they stepped up, they made a play. Bishop Fitzgerald, 2 more interceptions. He's I'll tell you one thing. USC has been able to find somebody out of the transfer portal every year that's had a significant impact. Right now, Bishop Fitzgerald's having a significant impact. I got 2 more segments to go on this instant reaction show. In the next segment, what are we going to talk about? What's going to roll off of my tongue? Well, let's talk about King Miller. Let's talk about Tobias Raymond a little bit more. They deserve it. They earned their flowers. That's coming up next. Well, the weekend is here, which means it's time to, look back, crown this week's MVP on who delivered, powered by DoorDash. And just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks that helps you save money every time you order, these players delivered when it mattered most. I'm going to break it down. King Miller, right off the bat. Okay. He was pretty special against Michigan's run defense. Again, 18 carries, 100 and let me see how many. He had a lot of yards. I'll get you the exact number in the next segment. Anyways, King Miller did what he needed to do running the ball. Jaden Mayava, he had a bad interception, but he, again, 78% completion rate. Can't get too mad. So we know that Jaden Mayava delivered. We know that King Miller carried the rock. He delivered for USC. And just like King Miller and just like Jaden Mayava, how they delivered with DoorDash Streaks, they'll deliver for you too every Saturday. So get them in your lineup for next weekend, USC at Notre Dame. You can stack it up all season. You can save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday coming up. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. This promo will end November 18th. All right, NFL fans, the NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer right now. Become a new customer, and if you can bet just $5, and if that $5 bet wins, guess what? You're going to get $300 in bonus bets that you can use across the entire FanDuel app. You're going to love using FanDuel because it fits however you want to bet. You like doing player prop bets? Check the box at FanDuel. You like building that same-game parlay? Guess what? You can do that at FanDuel. Maybe you want to jump into the action live as it's unfolding. FanDuel lets you do that too. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. So Tobias Raymond is by far, without a doubt, USC's best offensive lineman. He is definitely their most versatile offensive lineman. So far this season, he's played right tackle. He's played left tackle. He started at left tackle against Michigan. He's played left guard. He's played right guard in the past. The only position he hasn't played so far at USC, center. You know who that sounds like? It's like another Jonah Monheim. This young man has a future in the NFL. What position? We'll let them decide. But if you think it's easy to all of a sudden go from playing left guard to playing left tackle, it's not that easy. And let's give some credit to Justin. All of a sudden you go from playing left tackle, you're playing right tackle this game. We talked about Ja'Onre Reed. No bad snaps. I think I saw one play where he missed his assignment and USC wasn't able to pick up any yards on that rushing attempt. But I mean, talk about a bounce back game. He was anchoring and he had the communications down. They did not allow a sack. And again, this isn't Michigan's defensive line of 2024, where they had 3 first rounders, Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant, Josiah Stewart. But this was still a really, really, really good Michigan defensive line. And all you Michigan fans who've been hanging out on this channel all week, hope you still have that same energy. You kept saying, USC's going to get their butt kicked. They're going to be physical. They can't match up with Michigan. Well, guess what? Guess what? 109 rushing yards later for Michigan. Yeah, I think USC's defensive line can handle Michigan's offensive line. USC's offensive line, not only did they protect Jaden Mayaba, but they were down to their, third string running back who showed up late, Brian Jackson, who's been hurt, who's been dealing with turf toe all season, and a walk-on by the name of King Miller. And what did those two do? What did King Miller do? He ran all over Michigan's face. I mean, it was a thing of beauty. And you kind of had to know, if you don't know what type of player King Miller is, go back to the opening kickoff. So it was King Miller and it was Josiah Zamora back there. No Mekhi Lemon, no Eli Sanders. So King took the opening kickoff a yard deep. And he didn't just run it out of bounds. He lowered his shoulder and applied a hit to the defender. So he got credit, to the 25-yard line, but obviously 1 yard deep, 26-yard return, but he wasn't shying away from contact. That's what I wanted to draw attention to. Very few mistakes in this game for USC. So Jaden Mayaba, I don't know. He was fantastic throwing the ball, except for this one play. I don't know what was going on, but he was 78% completion rate, and it was 2 touchdowns. One to Jacoby Lane. That was their first score of the game. By the way, USC scored on their opening drive, so we told you they needed to do that. The other one, he had a touchdown pass to Mekhi Lemon, of course. But there was an interception earlier in the game, and USC was driving. They were going to at least have to settle for a field goal. USC's offense was in complete control. They had 2 turnovers. The first one was from Lake McCree. Beautiful pitch and catch. He was running. The Michigan defender got his shoulder right on the ball. So textbook, but you ask Lake, he'll tell you it shouldn't have happened. So right there, USC left at least 3 points on the field on that turnover. Who knows? They maybe even score a touchdown. And then Jaden Mayaba, he was running, he was scrambling. He saw Mekhi Lemon in front of him. He threw the ball way over his head. And Mekhi Lemon was like 5 yards in front of him. But Jacoby Lane was about 5 yards behind Mekhi. So I'm thinking he just kind of got, blurred cardinal and gold vision and then pulled a Phillies pitcher. Just kind of like, oops. He threw it way over Mekhi's head, well short of Jacoby Lane. And the Michigan defender made a diving interception. Everybody's like, what was Jaden doing? Because it was just so out of character. Everything else, all of his other throws, beautiful, throwing dimes. But this one was just like, what were you thinking? And right afterwards, I wanted to see how he was, reacting. I looked over onto the USC sideline. He's sitting on the bench. Coach Dog, Aaron Ama, was hanging out with him. He was his, he was the guy to say, hey, forget about the play. You got to keep moving forward. Coach Dog is, I've talked about him before, how close-knit, how tied in he is with the Polynesian community. So he got Jaden back under control. And again, those are really the only 2 mistakes from USC. But yeah, other than that, other than those 2, if you want to, nitpick what USC's defense didn't do well, there was that 69-yard touchdown in the third quarter. But other than that, and I'm not sure if that was a communication breakdown, just it shouldn't happen. It shouldn't happen. But they held Michigan to 316 total yards. I mean, USC's defense got the job done. Everyone was so concerned about what was going to happen, but they held Michigan to 207 yards throwing the ball. Bryce Underwood didn't have a great game. He had a good game for a true freshman on the road playing in a hostile environment. But yeah, there's besides giving up that long touchdown pass, USC was only flagged 3 times for 31 yards. 15 of them came on that Mackay Lemon. That was just weird play. But again, without that, it doesn't lead to King Miller just kind of exploding and getting, bringing the Coliseum fans out of their seat. It was great. It was fantastic. In fact, the Coliseum was electric. All right, I'm rambling right now. A little bit late here on a Saturday night, but I wanted to get my instant reaction going for you here. Tobias Raymond, throw him some flowers. He is USC's best offensive lineman by a mile. King Miller, somebody get that man a scholarship, please. And at the very least, someone in House of Victory, scratch a check. He's earned it. All right, I'm being a little facetious here. My point being, King Miller, I want him on this roster next year because people are going to come call him. He's an LA kid, though, Southern California guy. He wants to be at USC. He talked about it, how he and his brother, Kylan, they want to be at USC. USC fans, they want you guys there too. So great job. One more segment to go. We're going to tell you a little about the Coliseum, why it was so amazing. This episode is brought to you by Mazda, moving the game forward. For those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. There are moments that do more than just put points on the board. They move the crowds. They move the culture. They keep moving the game forward. And this week's moment is about what happens when you lose your first and second string running backs, Waymon Jordan, Eli Sanders, and you have to crown a king. Well, that's what they did. King Miller we saw him earlier in the year. Coach Riley told us, hey, you know what? We see him do it in practice all the time. And we saw him do it early in the season. He would just pop long runs for touchdowns. USC needed him again. Guess what happened? King Miller delivered. Like I said, crown that young man. Give him a scholarship. It was pretty special to watch. And you know what? Let's give Bishop Fitzgerald a little bit more love. 2 more interceptions. And they came at really good times. They came at good times when you're thinking, all right, Michigan might be gaining a little momentum. Bishop said, nope, not today. Not happening. Not when I'm around. So you had all that going for you. When you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. So let me tell you a little bit about the Coliseum. When it's sold out, it's a pretty fun place to be at if you're a USC fan. It was amazing. Kickoff 4:30. 4:30 kickoffs turn into night games, so you get that type of energy, that type of vibe. And USC fans actually got inside the stadium pretty quickly. Usually they're a late arriving crowd. I will say this, got to get it off my chest. There was way too many Michigan fans sitting under the tower, that side of the field on the Michigan sideline. Let me remind everybody, that's scholarship. That's committee members. Those are the people who donate a lot of money to the school. So I'm thinking, you know what? It's $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 just for the right to buy season tickets in those seats. Why are these tickets ending up in Michigan fans' hands? That's got to stop. I would say I'll go 65-35 USC. There was a good contingency of maize and blue inside there. And when Michigan was doing their thing, you could hear them. You could hear them loud. But they weren't able to drown out the USC fans. The Coliseum was amazing with those night games. Just fantastic. And you know what? Everybody was feeling it. I get to go down on the field for the last 5-6 minutes of the game. That's when they allowed the press box media down there. I'm not sure why, but Jen Coe and I, we kind of caught each other. USC's athletic director, we eye to eye. She came jogging over, gave me this awesome high five. It was like, yeah, baby. She was into it. She was feeling it. The crowd was feeling it. Good game. Coach Riley talked about it after the game. This is what the Coliseum is supposed to look like. what it's supposed to feel like, because the players feel the energy. They feed off of it. They talked about it after the game. So yes, Trojan fans, keep showing up. That was your first sellout of the season. That was Michigan. USC is not going to be playing at home again for a month, 30 days, almost 30 days. Next week at South Bend against Notre Dame. You got to ride that wave of momentum into South Bend. You got to leave there with a victory. Then you come home, you got a bye week. Then you get on the plane, you're flying out to Nebraska. Then you come home, and then eventually you take on Iowa. So these next couple games, oh, by the way, it was a good day. Not because UCLA won, not because Notre Dame won, but Indiana went into Eugene, Oregon. They beat the Ducks. Oh, by the way, Ohio State, they handled Illinois in Champaign rather easily. And here's another shocking development. Northwestern, they went into Happy Valley. They just handed Penn State their third loss in a row of the season, 3 in a row. Is James Franklin going to be coaching next week for the Nittany Lions? Keep an eye on that. I don't know. That team has given up. So UCLA got them, Oregon got them the week before that, and now you're losing to Northwestern. So it kind of shows you, the big conference, Nick Saban, not as bad as you think it is. Yeah, Nick Saban was talking some junk earlier in the week as well. Or maybe, yeah. The SEC is better than the Big. Or maybe he was talking about that on game day. I don't watch ESPN. I'm just picking up bits and pieces here and there. But USC, fantastic win, 31-13. They controlled the line of scrimmage, both sides of the ball. Tackling, for the most part, was fantastic. Jade Mayaba was on point, save for that one really, really, really bad interception. And you got to love King Miller. You got to love USC's run game. This team, they sat for 2 weeks. They stewed in their own juices. They were pissed off. They punched Michigan in the mouth, and they kept punching Michigan in the mouth. In fact, Michigan was reacting during the game. It got chippy. And Kai Lemon, he got involved a little bit. But Michigan was trying to push back. They were trying to get USC out of their game. USC was having none of it. Not this time. So there you go. USC 31, Michigan 13. I will be back with another episode. I'll have MVP3, Marvin Powell III. We will break down the game a little bit more and just, kind of do a little bit of a deeper dive. Get more, how do I say it? Well, I'm just not rambling around talking about it as an instant reaction. We'll talk about the offense. We'll talk about the defense, the coaching, all that good stuff. So until that next episode, everyone, you know what to do.